What's going on, everyone? Welcome into a live Cleveland Browns report by Chat Sports. Matthew Peterson here, breaking down all the latest news and rumors on the Brownies. So let's not waste any time. Let's get right into it, starting with the first segment on today's show. Very loose. You can kind of word it however you want, but in and of itself, the end result is DeAndre Hopkins going to the Browns. I'm giving it 2 Bernie heads, right? Kind of right in the middle. At times, it felt like 3 Bernie heads. At times, it felt like 1 Bernie head. Now I'm going to leave it right at the 50-yard line with it could kind of go either way, but more so leaning towards that 1 Bernie head than the 3 Bernie heads. So May Kay has been all over the DeAndre Hopkins story, and she recently put out an article that we're going to take a look at later on, where she adds some more color to the story. Now, the report is that Hopkins is looking for a 1-year, $15 million contract, similar to what Odell Beckham Jr. got. So that's kind of a good jumping off point. Now, Deshaun Watson has not been shy when it's come to DeAndre Hopkins. Whether it was at the golf charity fundraiser last week or speaking to the media this week after minicamp practices, he has been very vocal that he would love to have DeAndre Hopkins. Now, he also knows his place, and he goes, those are better questions for Andrew Berry. But he is not, hit away from these questions when it comes to DHop. He would love to have him up in Northeast Ohio. Now, the latest news on DeAndre Hopkins is that he is visiting the Tennessee Titans this upcoming weekend. Tom Pelissero reported that he's flying out to Nashville on Saturday. So as we record this video on Thursday during our live show, that is the latest on DHop. Now, I want you guys to read this quote with me from May Kay on Hopkins potentially coming to Cleveland. The Browns wrap up their 3-day minicamp on Thursday, but Hopkins could visit sometime over the next few weeks. If all goes well as Watson hopes, Hopkins could be a Brown by the time training camp opens July 22nd at the Greenbrier Resort in West Virginia. Here's the twist to that story. What we just read is no longer in her article. She actually removed it from her article, added a note at the bottom that said, this story has been updated to reflect the latest on DeAndre Hopkins. This is what she replaced that paragraph with. But the Browns are happy with their current receiving corps and aren't looking to add a big name, high-priced player such as Hopkins at this time. It's currently unlikely to happen, but he's also in the never say never category. We're going full windy here. Why did May Kay change her article? What happened? What did she hear from inside the walls at Berea at Cross Country Mortgage Campus? Why did she go 180 of Hopkins could be visiting anytime soon and be signing before July 22nd to, yeah, we're going to remove that. And actually, I'm going to double down and say it's probably not going to happen. It's a long shot, but never say never. So if I had to take a good stab at what change happened, because I believe May Kay is a good Browns reporter, she does not bat 1,000. No reporter does. She had some fair share of hits and misses. She was on Deshaun Watson and the Browns moving on from Baker last year. She was also really big on Jesse Bates and Javon Hargrave, 2 things that did not happen this year. I'm guessing she's got some good sources inside Berea, and they told her, maybe stop gaslighting DeAndre Hopkins so much to Cleveland and getting the fan base all riled up over this, because they're just going to be disappointed when we don't sign Hopkins because we like the receiving core we have right now. So let's stop giving them torches and pitchforks to bring to the campus when we don't sign him. Could you maybe downplay the whole DeAndre Hopkins thing? Because the secret is there is no signing coming unless something drastically changes for what he's looking for. So that's my best stab at it. It's a 180, as we just read, from what she originally put out there to what she pivoted to. So pretty interesting Big J rumors going on right now, right there on that side of things. Now, you make the call, though. Do you think the Browns should sign DeAndre Hopkins? S for sign or P for pass? Chime in down in the comment section below if you think this is the right decision for Andrew Berry. My stance on all this has not really wavered all that much. I've long stated it's a win-win. Scroll back to previous DeAndre Hopkins videos and you'll see if you get DHop, awesome. If you don't get DHop, that's okay. You have Amari Cooper, Donovan Peoples-Jones, and Elijah Moore. But I think this week of minicamp has made you, myself, and I, a very big believer in this wide receiver room without DeAndre Hopkins. Now, it's just 7-on-7s. It's flag football. It's pitch and catch. It's designed for the offense to get into a rhythm. It is not designed for the defense to do well since they cannot rush the quarterback in 7-on-7. So the DBs just have to hang on for dear life and try and go step for step with the wide receivers. But the receivers did not disappoint, right? There were not a bunch of errant throws. Watson was not on a different page than his receivers. He was linking up with Marquise Goodwin downfield. He was bringing out his signature Legolas celebration, the arrow firing off. So if they don't get DHop, I'm not going to be heartbroken over it. Moving on to our second story today. Should the Browns sign Dalvin Cook? Fake news. This is not going to happen. Dalvin Cook is going to be released. Depending on the time you're watching this, he has already officially been released. Tom Pelissero said that the Vikings plan to release him, and they kind of walked it back a little bit and said they're going to release him if they don't get a trade, which they've been trying to do for the last 3 months, but I guess they've finally just given up. So the reason why we're kind of tossing this out here is Zadarius Smith, who just came over from Minnesota, hit up Twitter with the eyeballs emoji, which is the number one thing for athletes to do to get people talking. And congratulations, it works, Zadarius. We are talking about it. But no, it does not make sense, really, for Dalvin Cook to come over to Cleveland, right? And we're going to expand on that more in just a second. But before we do, we're doing a sub battle with our Ravens channel, who they are so far behind we can't even really see them in our rearview mirror. I don't want to just have double the subs or, whatever 19-9 is. I want to go over 10,000 subs and then some. So let's race to the next 1,000 milestone. They're trying to get to 10,000 subs. We're trying to get to 20,000 subs. Let's beat them to it. It's a pretty even race right now. We've got a bit of a head start, but the Ravens fan base can always catch up. Let's not give them that opportunity. Subscribe right now for the best free Cleveland Browns YouTube content out there. So back to Dalvin Cook, though. Adam Schefter, and we'll look at his tweet in a moment, highlighted a couple of teams that could be in on Mr. Cook, and the Browns were not one of those teams, but he is expected to be released because of his enormous cap hit for a player that really regressed last season, and several teams have been rumored to be interested. Schefter identified 2 of those teams being the Miami Dolphins and the Denver Broncos. Now, Denver just signed Frank Clark, so I feel like they might be sort of out of spending, but no one has spent more money this offseason than the Walmart family at Mile High, so I guess you can never quite rule them out. Miami makes a ton of sense. Dalvin's from Florida. He wants to go back to Florida. He posted on IG an edit of him at Hard Rock Stadium. So if I was a betting man, I'd put my money down on the Dolphins. But sign Dalvin Cook to back up Nick Chubb? No, this is just not a good fit, right? We know the Browns have been rumored to be looking at an RB2. That's not a player like Dalvin Cook who is losing a step and is a similar type running back as Nick Chubb, except he's slower and not as good, right? I don't know what Dalvin Cook brings to this running back room that they don't already have in Nick Chubb, except just a worse version of it, and Chubb's awesome, right? When you look at Cook's stats over the last 4 seasons, look at the regression. 5.1 yards a pop in his 16-touchdown 2020 season, down to 4.7, and then down to 4.4. Despite getting 264 carries last year. Like, they gave him the rock a ton. That's why he got to 1,000 yards. He did not deserve to get that many carries based on how he was playing. Now, the football nerds out there cooked up this interesting stat called rushing yards over expected. Somehow they were able to identify how many yards a player should get on each play. I don't quite know how you do that, but they did. And Dalvin Cook got negative 0.16 yards based on what his expected yardage was each carry based on the blocking and the defense. So he was not even doing what he was mathematically, I guess, expected to do. This is a deep dive on football analytics I don't think I'll ever wrap my head around. But let me know, do you guys think that the Browns should sign Dalvin Cook? Yes or no? I'm typing N for no. I don't think it's a good fit for Cleveland. They want to get a second RB. Fine, get a pass-catching running back. Get something that Nick Chubb really can't bring a ton to the table of. Don't get Dalvin Cook. No. Moving on to our third and final story. This one is just a feel-good story. Nick Chubb, is he the best? You're damn right he is. For Bernie heads, Nick Chubb is going to go down as a fan favorite, as one of the best Browns players of all times. Might not be statistically the best running back in Cleveland Browns history, But those are big shoes to fill with Jim Brown, and he was talked and asked about that while speaking to the media this week after minicamp, and he recently stated that he is dedicating the rest of his career to the late, great Jim Brown, which is just awesome to see for how much Jim Brown did for this community and this team, and for Nick Chubb honoring one of the greats in football history. We've got more on this story to look at in just a moment, but make sure you get the t-shirt combo on sale. I just checked. They still have all the sizes, and it's still on sale. 50% off. You're not getting one shirt. You're getting 2 shirts when you go to chatsports.com/CLE combo. Don't be surprised if you see me rocking one of these shirts later on in the month. Get yours today, chatsports.com/CLE combo. Links in the comments and the description of today's video. Now, this is what Nick Chubb said when he was asked about Jim Brown when speaking to the media. I'm definitely playing for him from here on out. What did he stood for? What he did stood for a long time. The yards, the stats, only in 9 years. So it's unbelievable what he was able to do in those just 9 years. It's crazy. Now, an incredible story that came out of Nick Chubb speaking to the media regarding Jim Brown was about John Dorsey, who was the GM that drafted Nick Chubb back in 2018. He sent Nick Chubb's college tape from UGA over to Jim Brown to get some feedback and get his thoughts on number 24. And Jim Brown, right off the bat, was a big advocate and believer for Nick Chubb. And when Nick Chubb found out about this, well, this is what he said. Joe Sheehan has been telling me that story since I got here. I never believed him until I got a text from Dorsey telling me it was true after Jim Brown passed away. Just hearing that, it was a blessing. He saw something in me, and it's special. Now, never forget that Jim Brown is the all-time team rushing leader, and I don't know how anyone's going to catch him. In 9 seasons, he put up 1,200 yards. That is bonkers to think about. And Nick Chubb has been awesome his entire career, and I still don't see a way he catches up to Jim Brown. Put your calculators away. I did the tough math for you guys here. Nick Chubb has 2 years left on his contract. He would have to average 175 yards per game over the next 2 years, 17 games each, not missing a game, to pass Jim Brown. That is how great Jim Brown was of a running back. And if Nick Chubb is this great and he's still this far off from Jim Brown, it's a good reminder that even though I did not get to see him with my own 2 eyes when he was playing for the Browns, he is one of the best in franchise history. So who's your favorite running back? This is more of a test to see which age of football you watched. If you're a bit older and you got to see Jim Brown play in his heyday, you're probably rolling with 32. 24 for Nick Chubb, 32 for Jim Brown. Sorry about the typo. But if you're my generation, and there it is, shout out to Jack Lauderay, it's 24 because this is the guy I've been watching for much of my career, much of my life. But let me know who your favorite running back is down in the comment section. Now, before we get on out of here, off-season mode, pick a card time. You guys know how we end all of our shows. We do a random card drawing. Jack Lauderay, our producer, which card are you going with?
Give me the 5 of hearts.
5 of hearts? Okay, I'm going to go with the 10 of clubs. One last cut. Get your predictions in the chat right now in the comments section. 10 of clubs for me. I think we had this one not long ago. 9 of spades. 9 of spades. All right, that's going to do it for us on today's show. We'll see everyone later.